Good day, friends. Maloa here. Today I will be interviewing GrayHammer, a marvelous LOTRO cartoonist. Let's go. Good day. How are you doing today?
Hi, not so bad, not so bad. How are you?
Excellent. Oh, I'm doing great. Well, it's nice to have you here today, GrayHammer.
Well,
Um,
it's a pleasure to be here. It's a whole new experience for me.
Welcome. It's so fascinating to have you with us today. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, I'm GrayHammer. I'm in the real world, David Ignason. I'm an artist. That's about it, really. I mean, that's all I do. I'm a commissioned artist. I do commissions for like things like pets and portraits, comics, anything really. But I also have my own work, which I do for myself. We'll not get into that. But yeah, I do, and I do GrayHammer, and
Excellent.
that's basically me.
So, what was your inspiration for GrayHammer?
Well, actually, that honour has to go to my brother. Um, we used to back in our younger year, like 19, 20ish. We did live role playing, and he had a character called Baylor, and his real name is Graham. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I took his family name, which is Graham, and took his character and kind of mixed them together to get GrayHammer. And basically, it's just it's got to be my brother that gives me the main inspiration for GrayHammer, definitely.
Excellent. And how long have you been drawing GrayHammer?
Oh, 12 years, I would say, maybe 13.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think when I first started on the Lord of the Rings online, I started doing characters and just posting them for a bit of fun on you know.
Incorporating some of the LOTRO humor
Yes,
into.
I mean it started out where I'd take a few of the characters that I'd done some adventures with, some missions, and then I'd put them into a comic, and then I'd just post that up, and everyone got a good laugh out of it. So, and it just went on from there, really.
Great. And so do you have any formal training in this, or is this just a talent you've developed?
Well, I did a BTEC when I was 18, I think it was, and then I went on to do a BA when I was 21 in fine arts. Um, the correct way of looking at things and correct way of getting proportions and anatomy and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
that's what I learned from the BTEC and from the fine art degree. I learned how to express myself, which is, like I say, my own work, which is not really appropriate here. So, but yeah, that's it.
So,
And then the rest is just me practice, 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 basically.
so can you go take me through the creative process of what you go through when you have a new idea for GrayHammer?
The grey hour. It's usually something I've seen on the internet, like in a meme or a funny comment, and it just sparks off that idea, or it just comes from my imagination sometimes. Some of the funny thoughts I had to myself, calling myself a silly bugger and stuff like that. That's Graham's great phrase is calling everyone a bugger. So that got put in there. But yeah, it's just for the observation from the world, really. I sort of like pick out the fun bits and incorporate it into the little comics things I do. Pretty much, that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I one of the ones that I really liked was the relationship between GrayHammer and his horse.
Yes,
I think those are really cool.
that kind of happened by accident. Um, it was the very first comic I ever did. Was Graham was charging into Bree,
Uh-huh.
and he was just going under the bridge, and then Warhammer, which is Hammerhead, sorry, is the horse's name, and he sees another horse, stops dead, and slings Graham into a haystack. So yeah, from there it kind of blossomed into a hate love relationship.
um, and so what you mentioned Bree. So what other aspects of Lord of the Rings have you kind of incorporated into your comics?
Well, I look at some of the monsters, for example, orcs and the dragons and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, it's mainly the backgrounds. I'll try and hopefully get some resemblance to where they might be in the Lord of the Rings online world. It might be in the Rohan, or they might be in Bree, or it might be in Hobbiton. You know,
Hmm.
it goes all over the place. So
Yeah. So I would say your humor is very infectious because almost everyone that I've seen, like they have the composition is just fascinating because you bring out the humor in the situation through the drawing, which is so cool.
thank you.
So where would you think that infectious humor comes from?
My insanity, I should think. um, well, I personally have a lot of problems health-wise, and I have some mental health issues as well. And if I didn't laugh, I'd cry. So I decided to laugh rather than cry. So
Yeah, humor is
I
good
sort
medicine.
yeah, I sort of laugh. If you can laugh at yourself, you can laugh at the world. That's the way I see it.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
matter what's going on.
So if you just met somebody that is just starting out with their art career, or that is just starting out with Lord of the Rings and wants to get into the art side of things more, what advice would you give them?
Okay, if you're starting out in the art, wanting to learn how to draw, and is first learn how to sketch really fast. Don't try and get every little single detail down correctly right away. It doesn't work. You've got to get light and fast, and then you can start picking out the lines that work. Once you've learned that technique of actually drawing, then you've got to start learning how to coordinate your hand and eye. So if you see something outside that catches your imagination, then draw it down quickly, sketch it down. Um, as for starting out in the art world, I just practice, practice, practice. That's it. I mean, I've been drawing since I was 7 every day. You know, I'm what you would call, I would easily say, the most prolific artist I know. You know, I literally I get up in the mornings, I'll make me a cup of coffee, and before I finish the coffee, I'm sat down drawing stuff. So, and if I'm not drawing on paper, I'm drawing on digital. As for the Lord of the Rings side, slowly introduce what you're doing. Don't slam it. I mean, I made the mistake with the first comic of over advertising, over showing it, and people got annoyed at it. So, you know, and it didn't really take off at that point. Don't overdo it. Don't overthink it, and just make try and find a niche that you can fit into. I think, you know, if you want to be a serious character, you know, draw, fine. Say I'm drawing a portrait, life's a realistic portrait of the character you're playing, for example. Yeah, nobody I know does that. I always get the comic side, you know. So maybe that. I mean, find that niche and then ram it in. I mean, I tried to make my name known first before the art by becoming the only true mercenary in the Lord of the Rings online, which basically I would power level people up for a price. Graham became famous for that first, and then he became famous for his comics. So get your name out there. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Get your name out there.
That's great advice. You mentioned that you use some digital tools. What would those look like? What kind of software are you using?
Well, I use mainly uh, Autodesk Sketchbook Pro, Procreate. That's about it.
Okay.
I
Ha-
have got a couple more, but for if I'm after a certain effect, I've got the software just for that one effect, if you know what I
okay.
mean. So, but they're not worth mentioning because I don't really use them. But I do my main drawing within the Autodesk, and then I'll transfer it over to my iPad on Procreate,
Okay.
where I can get a lot better finish and tidy it all up and stuff like that. But Autodesk is really good for getting the ideas down quick and adding layers because you've got to work in layers on digital. So if you're going to go looking for drawing software, depending on what device you're using, whether it be Windows, Mac, or iPad or Android, look for one that's cheap. Look one that does what you need it to do. Anything about above that is just gravy, as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned. Don't look for something overcomplicated.
Do you have any current GrayHammer projects you're working on?
A friend of mine wants me to do a 24-page comic of GrayHammer, like a comic, not just one shot things. So I'm going to do that. That's coming up. I keep trying animation, but I'm not very good at it. It's very frustrating because the ideas to me come really quickly, and animation, you're stuck to the same drawing over and over again and just moving a little bit and a little bit. And it just, you just get fed up with it. After doing like 30 drawings of the same picture, it, you
Yeah,
know.
very repetitive, yeah. So where can we find some more of your work?
Uh, for GrayHammer, you can find it on his Facebook, which is GrayHammer's Comic. Um, all the GrayHammer stuff's there. If you want to look at my art, then I can provide the link, which is AP. It's a company called AP Global that show my work. You can that gives you an idea of the darker side of me. So I've got a fun side, which is Greyhammer, and I've got a dark side, which is the stuff I do for my sanity. I mean, I'm sat in my studio at the moment as we speak, so yeah, if anybody wants to look at the dark side of Greyhammer, then I'll jump over to AP Global and look for David Higginson, and that's me. But it's like I said, it's been a very interesting year for me. I've been picked up by I think 3 companies for the main art. The Greyhammer stuff is just flying out. The comic, so it's just been a great year for me.
Anything else you'd like to share with my audience?
Um, I can't think of anything except for charge. Charge.
Charge! Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And we look
It's been
forward
my
to reading
pleasure.
that comic of
It's been a
Greyhammer.
wonderful experience. It's been an
Yeah,
absolutely wonderful experience. Thank you.
excellent. Well, you have a good day.
You too. You too.
This show is possible because of your support and encouragement. Become a patron and get access to more amazing content and see your name here in the credits. Thanks for watching.